president is extending his timeline for Iran to make a deal from 10 to 15 days. That still puts it in line with the 2-week time frame that Iran had given to address the gaps after the second round of indirect talks with the U.S. earlier this week.
What is the goal if there is a U.S. military strike?
Well, we're going to make a deal, or we're going to get a deal one way or the other.
But with a military strike, is it to wipe out their nuclear program?
I'm not going to talk to you about that, but we're either going to get a deal or it's going to be unfortunate for them.
And you said today 10 days. Have you given them a deadline firm to make a deal?
I would think that would be enough time, 10, 15 days, pretty much maximum.
The talks focus largely on Iran's nuclear program, but the U.S. also wants Iran to give up its long-range ballistic missiles. And Iranian officials maintain their ballistic missile program is not up for negotiation. The Wall Street Journal now reporting the president is weighing a limited strike to pressure Iran to make concessions. The outlet reports, per People Familiar, the opening assault, which, if authorized, could come within days, would target a few military or government sites. People familiar with the matter said. If Iran still refused to comply with Trump's directive to end its nuclear enrichment, the U.S. would respond with a broad campaign against regime facilities, potentially aimed at toppling the Tehran regime. Russia is urging restraint. A spokesperson for the Kremlin says Russia continues to develop relations with Iran, and in doing so, we call on our Iranian friends and all parties in the region to exercise restraint and caution, and we urge them to prioritize political and diplomatic means in resolving any problems. Remember, though, back in June, the president gave a 2-week timeline for Iran to make a deal. Hours later, he gave the green light for Operation Midnight Hammer.
Like I've always said, these aliens can come here, but they need to do it legally. Oh, what are you shooting at? That's not how you get a green card. You can't hit nothing. Damn, these criminal aliens are heavy. Whoa, low bridge. Suck on my parachute, Greenback. Hope you got an airbag. Welcome to Earth. You need to get in line like all of the others. We have what is called a process.
That's not how you get a green card. It's Free for All Friday! Well, what a Free for All Friday it is. Holy moly. Oh man, we are going to get roasted for this show. Because I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with the op. I'm sorry. I'll go with the op. I'm a sucker. I'm gonna go with it. Klein's sitting here shaking his head like, Benny, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't get up the Epstein files. Don't go for the shiny object. Don't do it. Don't be a normie. Don't do it. And I'm going to say, why can't we have both? Can't we have both? Huh? Come on. It's the Fanta commercial. Can we have the Epstein files and the aliens? You know what we would call that? Alien versus Predator. It'd be great. We could just release all of them. We can release it. Oh, come on, guys. Come on, it's so obvious. We've been calling it out for weeks, months, years. We said the moment that they start arresting the pedophiles, the moment that they start arresting the royal family members, I mean, guys, it's like not only right on time, it's like Swiss watch train station time. The moment that the royal family gets arrested, they release the aliens. They don't even wait 24 hours. They do it the same flippin' day. So what's that about? Today's going to be a real one. Today's going to be a real one. Roast me. I want to be roasted in the comments. Call me a normie. Call me a sucker. We're going to have some UFO experts on the program today. It's so easy. Yeah, Jerry's saying, no, you got to add Iran in there. Yep, you're right. We're like this close to destroying, to like wiping Iran off the face of the earth. So they're going to like lock in. Iran, nuclear weapon, scorched earth, new war in the Middle East, plus the aliens, plus the Epstein files. Or Epstein files, what were those? Oh, man. Oh, man, right on time. It's called predictive programming. It's called central casting. And ALX, I had a question for you before we got started, and I didn't get a chance to ask, which is, can we play the trailer for Steven Spielberg's new Alien movie? Because right on time. I mean, they just got done having Jim Carrey play Joe Biden for the last 4 years in a mask. They just got done with that. I mean, they must be exhausted, actually. Hollywood must be exhausting. Okay, this is the cow that just milked too much. And now, so they finished the Jim Carrey, the role of his life, Jim Carrey playing Joe Biden in the mask. And now they got to do the aliens all over again. It was hard enough to film it's hard enough to fake the moon landing. Now they got to go and once again drag out your best director. I love this. This is, you guys want to know what my favorite theory is? There's no such thing as a conspiracy theory. There's just like unproven theories. It's that they've been predictive programming the Joe Biden moment for decades. And they created a show about 20 years ago called The Mask, which my wife and I watched the other night. It's a couple months ago, but the other night, when you're a parent, everything just kind of blends together. And it's a movie that really holds up. So I encourage you to go watch it. I encourage you to watch The Mask. It's such a great movie. Anyway, I was like, I watched it and I said, were they preparing us? Were they preparing us for the Joe Biden presidency? Is this what they were doing? You can see here, somebody put together a compilation of all of Jim Carrey's greatest antics. Why'd the video stop? Keep it going. All of Jim Carrey's greatest antics, and then match them up to Joe Biden's antics, and you can see they're the exact same, right? It's like this. It's like the same walk, the same look, the same falls, the same moments. Have they been preparing us for this? And then, lo and behold, right on time, this summer's blockbuster is supposed to be a movie called Disclosure Day. Disclosure Day from Steven Spielberg. And what do we have? Donald Trump posting yesterday on Truth Social, time for a Disclosure Day. And what's Disclosure Day about? It's about a bunch of aliens. Just pop it up in the window. Just pop it up in like a window, or give me the trailer for it, and there it is. Okay, Disclosure Day from Steven Spielberg. It's about how a bunch of aliens have been living among us, and that these aliens are ready to reveal themselves. That's what Disclosure Day is all about. And what do we get over the last couple of days? Laura Trump saying Trump's prepared a Alien Disclosure Day speech. Laura Trump stood up saying it. And then Barack Obama saying aliens are real and I know where they are. Because Barack Obama said they are not in Area 51. So how would you know that, dude? Now we're seeing a bunch of weird jets and weird buildings being built on Area 51. It's interesting. They've lost a couple of aircraft. They've done a couple of military lockdowns of Area 51 recently. We've been covering that. And then, lo and behold, yesterday, Donald Trump himself walks out and says that Barack Obama disclosed classified information when he said that there was... Klein, I don't know what you got on screen here, but whatever it is, just let it play, or, whatever it is, just let it, just let it roll. Yeah. Okay, so it's the Steven Spielberg Alien movie. So there we go. Here goes your summer. Right on time for Trump to say, not only Trump to say that Barack Obama is revealing classified information by saying there's aliens, but also on time for Trump to say we're going to release all the alien files. So anyway, as ever, we're just here to help you interpret the news. Here is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. No, that's fine. This is breaking news. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled against President Trump on tariffs. That's not good. This is a big no-no. This is going to obviously be pretty bad. And going to have some wide-reaching manifestations and consequences. Yikes. Let's go ahead and open up the court reader here. Question presented, whether the international emergency economic powers authorizes the president to impose tariffs. Shortly after taking office, President Trump sought to address the foreign threats, influx of illegal drugs from Canada and Mexico, and so on, all these federal regulations. He imposed tariffs to deal with each threat. As drug trafficking tariffs, President Trump imposed 25% duty on Canadian blah, blah, blah. Good. It's great. Holy smokes. How long is this ruling? 170 pages? 170 pages? Goodness gracious. Okay, so the majority, so we have the majority and then we have the dissenting from Kavanaugh. So Kavanaugh writes the dissent, effectively concluding that tariffs at issue here may or may not be wise policy, but as a matter of text, history, and precedent, they are clearly lawful. I respectfully dissent. Alex, I'm going to need more information on this, please. Pack it out. Yeah, I mean, it's guys gotta get more. I'm sorry, I can't read 170. Can't read 170 page Supreme Court ruling. But I'm trying to find the. Let's find the majority here. We'll scroll through and find the majority. Just get me some hot takes, please, on X. Okay, so we got Thomas dissenting as well. Kagan. Okay, so let's read Kagan here. For all those reasons, straight up statutory construction resolves this case for me. I need no major questions. Thumb on the imperative scales. The president has significant authority over transactions involving foreign property, including importation of goods, but that generous, this is on page 84, but that generous delegation, one power is conspicuously missing. Nothing in the IEEPA's text or anything that is context or enables the president to unilaterally impose tariffs. And needless to say, without statutory authority, the president's tariffs cannot stand. Ooh. So this means, obviously, and Gorsuch concurred. Okay. Yep. So, hey, team, I'm gonna need like an actual break. Let's see an actual breakdown. Who voted where? Yep. Who voted on what? Don't worry, guys. I got Twitter too. Okay. Need an actual article. Here we go. Supreme Court strikes down Trump's tariffs. A Supreme Court struck down Trump's tariffs in a 170-page decision. 6-3 vote. 6-3. This is zero hedge, guys. Thank you. Trump's use of the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which constitutes about half of the tariffs we've seen under Trump, is not lawful, says the Supreme Court, and there's just no way to appeal this. 6-3 is a pretty monster ruling. It's not particularly close. Big ruling against Trump on this. Sucks. Not good. The ruling stems from a consolidated challenge brought by small businesses in multiple states who argued that the statute originally intended to authorize sanctions and asset freezes during national emergencies does not grant the executive branch the power to levy taxes on imports. Writing for the majority, the court emphasized that the Constitution vests Congress alone the authority to impose duties and tariffs, and found that the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, authorized to regulate importation, cannot be interpreted to include the distinct taxing power required to enact broad-based tariffs. As a result, the court affirmed lower court's ruling blocking the challenge measures, concluding that the administration's emergency-based use tariff framework exceeded the limits of the state. Trump invoked the tariffs as reciprocal tariffs on nearly every foreign trade partner to address what he called a national emergency over U.S. trade deficits. He invoked it again to impose tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico over fentanyl trafficking in the United States. The decision turns on the court's conclusion that the tariffs are not merely a tool for regulating trade, but a form of taxation that the Constitution reserves to Congress. Interesting. Citing Article 1, Section 8, majority stressed that the power to impose tariffs is very clearly a branch of taxing power that the framers gave Congress alone, access to the pockets of the people. The administration had argued that the tariffs grant the authority to regulate importation permitted the president to impose tariffs in response to the declared national emergencies. The court rejected the interpretation, noting that while taxes may accomplish regulatory ends, it does not allow the power to regulate, to tax as a means of regulation. The majority also pointed out that the statute text emphasizing that the IEEPA authorizes the president to investigate, block, regulate, direct, compel, nullify, void, prevent, and prohibit certain transactions, yet makes no mention of tariffs or duties. Okay. So what does this mean? Notably, the court's ruling does not address what happens to the billions of dollars in tariffs revenue already collected under the now invalidated framework, leaving open the possibility of a wave of refund litigation in the months ahead. Goodness. There are currently hundreds of tariff refund lawsuits pending in the U.S. Trades Court. While the majority opinion resolves the threshold legal question of presidential authority, it offers no guidance on restitution payment or whether the importers may be entitled to recover duties paid pursuant to tariffs. Justice Kavanaugh's dissent underscores the stakes, warning the court's decision is likely to generate other serious practical consequences in the near term, adding bluntly, one issue will be refunds. Any such claim would involve complex questions of sovereignty, immunity, administrative exhaustion, and the availability of equitable relief, particularly where duties were paid without timely protest. Okay. So, too bad. That sucks. Yeah. That sucks. I mean, obviously the tariffs have worked out pretty great, I think, for America. And this is big news. Okay. So here we go. Jonathan Turley saying this is going to tank the economy. Let's move there.
Said if the Supreme Court does this and strikes down his ability to use these tariffs, it would be disastrous for the country. Talking about how are you supposed to send the money back? How do you put the toothpaste back into the bottle? What are your thoughts on that? Is the United States going to suddenly have to return the money it took in via the tariffs as part of this 1977 law that the court is saying he can't use to do this?
That's what we're going to have to dig a little deeper into the opinion to see if it is prospective only. Also, Congress has to decide if it wants to move here. The economy is doing extremely well with this administration and with the tariffs. And so the question is Congress going to move in here to make sure that we don't have to step back in terms of the progress that has been made? In any case, we're looking at years of intensive and expensive litigation unless Congress wants to intervene and try to streamline that process. But there's still a lot to be resolved. This is a fractured decision. It's what some of us predicted. You know, when I noted after the oral argument was that it seemed to me like a majority of justices were not buying the tariff argument generally under IEEPA, the statute. But they were all expressing different reasons, or many of them were expressing different reasons for their objections. So it's fractured in that sense. So we have to see how this is going to play out. But the pressure will be now not just on the administration, but on Congress, because I think that the public itself would not want to see a wholesale return of tariff money to the detriment of the economy.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news. It is a breaking news show, so there we go. This is wild moment. Maybe the UFOs were a distraction from this as well. My initial take here is, you know, no, don't go to me for tax advice, right? You'll end up in prison. But the tariffs were working great, and that the economy was humming, and that things were trending in the right direction, and that it was a bit of a rebalance, quite frankly, against globalism. The idea of globalism obviously has sunk so deeply into the American economy. The dagger that has been sunk into our economy and into our heartland and into our manufacturing base is hollowed out and gutted our nation. And the tariffs were a way to bring manufacturing back to America. The tariffs were a way to restore an industrial base we once had. Marco Rubio just gave a whole speech about this. The tariffs were a way to make it more expensive to produce products and goods in the third world, to bring back the capacity to manufacture here, to make things here. And that's what you have to win a war. That's what you have to be strong. That's what you have to actually exert power around the world. You have to be able to be in control of your own supply chain. You must be able to be in control of your own destiny. And that means making your own stuff. And if we're depending on China for all of our iron, for all of our steel, for all of our manufacturing, for every single chip, for every single piece of technology that we have, for all of it, cameras, cell phones, computers that we use to run the show, then that's a really bad system that is, of course, able to be weaponized and manipulated against you. And the best way to get private industry to reassess and to reinvest in America is to make it more expensive to do business abroad, to make it less expensive to invest here. And so on that like very, very clear, rings like a bell economic and populist and nationalist note, I was deeply in favor of these tariffs, and they didn't tank the economy. Things were going quite well, to be quite honest. So anyway, let's go ahead and on over to the take of Tom Fitton, one of our friends, somebody who I really respect, on this tariff ruling, and then we'll move on and see if the producers can find anything else of note. In a confused decision, a divided majority of the Supreme Court found that congressional statute authorizing the president to regulate importation could allow President Trump to completely shut down imports, but not impose a lesser penalty of tariffs. As Justice Kavanaugh observes in a sensible dissent, as the majority interprets in the statute, the president could, for example, block all imports from China, but could not order even a $1 tariff on goods imported from China. The decision is an immediate loss for Donald Trump, but places our national security at risk and undermines a useful foreign policy tool for the president to negotiate in national emergencies. I think that's a very clear-eyed and sober take on it. And it's silly. I am in general for the limitation of executive power. Funny how the Supreme Court only ever limits executive power when there's a Republican in office. Isn't that amazing? Joe Biden can just let in 30 million criminal aliens and nothing happens. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of criminal aliens, we have some alien experts on the program, and we're excited to interview them. This is going to be a free-for-all Friday show brought to you, of course, by Patriot Mobile, our friends and partners, longtime friends and partners who are constantly working with us to make sure that you can phone home, literally phone home. E.T., the best alien that ever happened in America. He came here, learned English, and then went back home. And that's what happened with E.T. And what will happen with Patriot Mobile is you'll get excellent cell phone service for the rest of your life. It is the best cell phone service provider. It is also available on all three major wireless networks. Patriot Mobile, the only Christian conservative wireless provider in the world. Switching is easier than ever. Activate in minutes. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT and use the promo code Benny for a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT to make the switch today. Okay, so let's blast through this. We already did sort of like a mini monologue up front about Trump's alien disclosures and what they're going to mean. And in just one moment, we're going to have Tom Reed, who will be on the program, who has a remarkable story and is a bit of a legend because his UFO experience is the first ever to be officially confirmed, declassified, and is part of now the official congressional and historic record. It's kind of remarkable moment in history, frankly. So we are living through a remarkable moment in history. I've already given you the crib notes on this. That it's like seems a little too obvious it seems a little too cute by half, a little too on the nose, a little too predictive programming. They already have a Spielberg movie coming out called Disclosure Day, and then lo and behold, right when the proverbial Jeffrey Epstein noose, right, is tightening around the Obama administration, you see the Kathy Rumler emails, you can see the Larry Summer emails. You can see that Jeffrey Epstein was brought in to run communications for the Obama White House. Do you understand this? The Obama White House in this massive prostitution scandal where their donors, their like little derpy donor kids, little Nepo babies, were banging hookers in Colombia. This is all in the files. I'll put up the files right now. So so their donors, the Nepo baby kids are banging hookers in Colombia. The Obama administration blames it on the Secret Service to try and cover for their big-time donor buddies. They bring in Epstein. Obama brought in Epstein to literally run comms for the hooker scandal. This is after Epstein was a convicted pedo. Like, lay the groundwork for when things were happening. And then ask the question, Barack Obama, why weren't you doing something about Jeffrey Epstein? Why didn't Joe Biden release any of the Epstein files? Why didn't Obama put Epstein in prison or investigate? Obama didn't like even remotely come close, and I think everyone here knows why. Liz Crokin was just on the show. The Obama administration, run by Podestas, right? Like, run by Hillary Clinton, run by this witch's kitchen of truly disturbing and evil people, really sick puppies. They didn't do anything about Epstein. They made Epstein rich. They made sure that Epstein was able to grease the skids in government, which is how he got his money. He was a hitman between the public and private sector. He was a facilitator of dirty deeds. He was working with the Rothschilds. He was working with the great old ancient and vampire powers of Europe in order to get through the DOJ, in order to get class action lawsuits shut down, in order to make sure the Obama administration signed executive orders, and in order to literally help the Obama administration out of prostitution crises. We have the documents. That's what Epstein did. He was a fixer. Yes, he ran child prostitution on the side. Yes, that's what, he convicted, he pled out on that. It's a matter of fact. But that wasn't the main thing. That's not what made him all the money. That was the side gig. That was one of the many just like the plane or the island or the ranch. These are they're playthings. It's sick. There's playthings for the world's rich and elite in order to get the real business done. The real business is insider trading on public information for the private sector. And that's what Epstein did. He was a facilitator of that, obviously directly tied in with intel services, directly tied in because the intel services need to get these kind of deeds done. And as we have like reduced all these millions of Epstein files down, that's his role. And there are plenty more Epsteins out there right now. They're operational. We know them. That's what they do. So just want to like lay plain because we've done like this is our 40 millionth Jeffrey Epstein episode. That's what we have learned about Jeffrey Epstein. None of it is permissible. None of it is forgivable. Hundreds, maybe thousands of people should be in jail for this. That's what they were doing. The reason they won't go to jail is because it's still operational. That's how DC has always worked. It's how DC will always work until there's a revolution. Okay? Until there's a second American Revolution. That's what we've learned, and it's been devastating. It's been devastating for pretty much everyone. Now, as we have also learned, there is no smoking gun for Donald Trump. Democrats thought, well, we'll release these files and there'll be photos of Donald Trump in hot tubs with Jeffrey Epstein victims. And they'll be naked. Turns out that existed just for Bill Clinton. Wrong guy. Well, there'll be all these emails of Donald Trump doing dirty deals with Jeffrey, maybe Trump giving Melania an STD. Nope, it was their donor, Bill Gates, doing that exact same thing. Oh, Donald Trump will be on the island and doing sick little piggy stuff on the island. Nope, it was their donor, Reid Hoffman, that was doing that. Nope. Oh, Donald Trump will be working with Epstein to make sure that he's in the White House and that has all full access to the White House. Nope, that was Barack Obama and Bill Clinton. Those guys did that. So, like, again, this has been a massive backfire. That is just the facts. There have been, if anyone has gotten out of this, actually, frankly, squeaky clean, beside the fact that they completely botched the release of these files, and they didn't do the simple thing, which would have been to actually like slowly release them, just say, yes, we're going to release everything and just slowly drip, drip, drip all the files out, okay, instead of like fighting everyone. The Trump administration obviously has a black eye over that because the way that they handled it was stupid. But nonetheless, if there is a full exoneration at scale, it is for Donald Trump. And that's just a matter of fact. Call me whatever you want. That's just a fact. And again, It's a lot easier to just release a photo of Trump with an underage girl than it is to shoot him in the head in Butler or to raid Mar-a-Lago. It's a lot easier to do that and then poof, career over. But instead, what did they release? What they released was this. Here's what they released. I mean, listen, if any of these photos, any of them were Trump, any of them, scroll. Look at it. How many photos of Bill Clinton with trafficked women do we have? We have no photos of Donald Trump like that. If any of these photos, and by the way, this is just one of thousands of photos. There's sex tapes, there's creep shots, there's like so much like, you know, dirty predator stuff, thousands and thousands of millions. I mean, listen, mark up the timeline. Just one more time. One more time, give me the wedding. The wedding photo of Ghislaine Maxwell was after Jeffrey Epstein. 3 years after Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted pedo. This is 3 years. Ghislaine Maxwell, front and center. Look at that photo right on the aisle. She is a place of honor at Bill Clinton's daughter's only wedding. Ghislaine Maxwell, by the way, was the brains of the operation. That's according to virtually every victim. It says Ghislaine Maxwell is the brains of this operation. She's still alive and in prison, body swapped, who knows. But like, here she is, front and center, place of honor. 3 years after Epstein pleads to being a pedophile. Yeah, with Ghislaine Maxwell as a co-conspirator. So no, they weren't ashamed of themselves. Yes, they liked what was going on. Yes, they were getting rich off it. Bill, like Ghislaine Maxwell running the Clinton initiative, running the Clinton Foundation, starting her own nonprofit, speaking at the UN. Yeah, everyone was getting rich. And that's what was going on, okay? So, do you want a distraction from the Epstein files? I think everyone does, and what I mean by everyone is like the elites. Things were getting too hot in the kitchen for Barack Obama. Things were getting kind of hot for Donald. I mean, it's been like, obviously Trump's hated this news cycle for good reason. I think it's been horribly botched. We know a lot of people in the administration, man. You see them on our show live all the time. I wish they would have called me. I say this all the time. I wish you would have called me. I think that they lived inside of a world that like didn't properly see the energy and the power of this issue and the billions of people that were interested in it. They lived in this world and they didn't understand. Here's a photo of ALX. The last little thing I'll say on this, and then we have so much to talk about with our guests today. Here's ALX. ALX got the Epstein binder. You know those poison pill Epstein binders that they gave all the influencers? You know, you almost feel bad for these people, honestly. ALX, the only guy smart enough to actually thumb through that and realize, no, this is garbage. They're not giving us anything. This is the first couple of weeks of the administration. They should have learned then, but they didn't. And it blew up in their face and really harmed a couple of like influencers that are big time pro-MAGA people. And it's it's cruel and very unfair to them. Anyway, ALX didn't get taken in by the op. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, why we have a tight show around here. ALX, the only guy, and he called me right after that. He's like, this is trash, dude. This is trash. They handed us a binder full of it's garbage. It's all publicly released information. They've redacted the publicly released information. This is going to blow up in their faces, ALX told me. And it did. And they should have learned that. There was I think my idea is that there was just a massive disconnect. I think it's a generational one. Because TV news doesn't talk about Epstein, and there's so many people that watch TV news. That's like the world that exists for you if like the TV's on. So many people they weren't seeing Epstein on TV, and the reason you don't see Epstein on TV is obviously because of the people who make TV are the ones who are implicated so much in these Epstein files. They know all the people. They're funded by Bill Gates, right? In order to shut up about this. Bill Gates gives so much money to these organizations. MSNBC, what does the MS stand for? Microsoft. Well, do you think they're going to cover Bill Gates? And the STDs he gives his wife? So they just didn't, there was a total disconnect. And they didn't see that, yes, TV doesn't cover Epstein, but also here on the internet are billions of people that are obsessed with the Epstein story and will not tolerate being lied to about it. And I think they just like they just swung and like historically missed because they didn't connect those two. Anyway, that's what happened. And is this now a distraction from all of it? So the kitchen was getting hot. Obama was getting dragged in. And Obama this weekend goes, yo, there's aliens. Here we go.
A couple questions here. Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51?
Yeah, they're real, but they're real, and I know where they are, and here's where they're not. Okay. So then everyone's like, yo, Obama, you should clarify that. And Obama says, what I meant was that, I think that maybe there are some aliens. Statistically, there's definitely aliens. That's what I mean. Klein, you got to pop it up. My brother in Christ. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I think that maybe they're like, look at that. Sorry. Obama gets, dude, like in a trench coat and a hat, like, and smoking a cigarette. Obama gets the call. He has to put this up. Laura Trump then comes out and says, yo, Daddy has a speech ready for the alien announcement.
Do you think that he's about to make an announcement about UFOs? Because President Obama was just on a podcast talking about how he believes in UFOs and hinting that he saw something when he was president.
Well, I said this in my podcast too. What's funny is we've kind of asked my father-in-law about this because we're like, well, what do you know? Because Miranda, we all want to know about the UFOs, or we all want to know what's going on. And he played a little coy with us. And so that, of course, led us to believe, Eric and I were like, oh my gosh, if he won't even like fully tell us, maybe there's more to it. And then I have just heard kind of around that, I think he's actually said, I think my father-in-law's actually said it, that there is some speech that he has that I guess at the right time, and I don't know when the right time is, he's going to break out and talk about, and it has to do with maybe some sort of
alien life. There's going to be a thing. Whatever. It just happens that all of this stuff is happening in sequence. We're just telling you all of these things right away. And then the cherry on top of all of it is Trump on aliens yesterday in Air Force One. Trump saying, oh yeah, there definitely are, like Barack Obama definitely did share classified information with you when he said there are aliens. He shouldn't have done that. I should save him by releasing
he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. So aliens are real? Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. Well, he made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it.
I never talk about it.
A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
Well, if the president can declassify anything that he wants to, so if you want to make an announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying, and then here comes Donald Trump declassifying. Donald Trump posting on Truth Social last night. We need to declassify everything. I'll declassify everything for you. Guys, I need the Truth Social, please. I'm going to declassify all of it, and you'll be able to see all the alien files. Exciting. Here we go. Based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomenon and unidentified flying objects, and any and all other information connected to those highly complex but extremely interesting, important matters. God bless America. Okay. And that, end scene. Okay. Is it a full distraction tactic for the Epstein files? Is it in the interest of what President Trump has promised while he was running for office? I mean, there are millions of clips of Trump saying, yeah, I'm going to declassify all the alien stuff while he was running. Is Trump making good on that promise? I think it's a mix of maybe all of the above. But ladies and gentlemen, our guest today knows, I guess, all of the above, like what is actually happening up above. It's very interesting booking. I'm very excited to talk with Tom Reed. Tom Reed has the first ever incident officially archived in U.S. history to be historically true in 1969. The Berkshire's UFO incident is a thing of legend, actually. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the program for the first time ever, Tom Reed. Hi, Tom. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Benny. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Hey, it's cool looking. Yeah, it looks like a Batman cowl you got there in your background. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, it's Anubis dog.
It's pretty cool, dude. All right,
it's carved out of one piece of black oak. It's kind of cool.
That's rad. This has got to be okay. So I've tried to tell the audience a little bit about you and your background, but perhaps I haven't done it. Perhaps I haven't done it in the totality of your story. So maybe if you wouldn't mind giving just a little bit of of your background and your experience with what we call UFOs.
Sure. I guess it starts with my mother used to have a 1960s diner up in the Berkshires, and it wasn't too far from Sprague Electric, which ended up making the goodwill message that was left on the moon, and GE, and so on and so forth. And so they were primarily my mother's customers. And so when we had our first sighting in 1967, it made the newspapers. And so that conversation started to be a topic within those customers. Yeah, there it is. Eating in our family's diner. And of course, the Berkshires, let me back up. The Berkshires had a lot of activity. It wasn't just one and done. And so those conversations became, I guess, in some ways, fueled the idea of leaving the goodwill message on the moon by Buzz Aldrin, with Apollo 11. And so some of that idea is credited back to my mother's diner. But with what happened in 69, which is the one everyone pretty much talks about, even though 67 actually made the newspapers, it was a holiday. And there must have been, 250 witnesses, I think they say, that saw this craft or these spheres, if you will, over the Sheffield area. And they were moving in from like Pittsfield and Springfield towards Sheffield and Connecticut. And so we were going on a shortcut home, and we kind of ran right into it. And we came over this old rickety bridge, and my grandmother was the first to notice that there was like a round sphere that was rising from the banks of the Housatonic River. And then my brother was looking to the right. He saw what looked like another sphere off to the right side of the bridge. And so we kind of split them. One stayed low, one rose. And the one that rose, it was like crisp, like a cue ball. It was bright. It was self-illuminating, and it shot these rods of light into the water. And so we kept going, and that one rose up and kind of went in the direction of our car. And then my mother was like, "What is that?" So she pulls off to the side of the road where there's this waiting area, if you will, for like utility trucks or something like that. And so we were looking for this white sphere. And at that point, what my mother first saw was this large craft that was highlighted pretty well in Unsolved Mysteries. And why we saw it so easily is that first it was like 100 yards in size, and it wasn't shiny and polished. It was pretty much like a turtle shell. It had these mixed colors. It seemed to have pieces within it, and this light, or this reddish tint, kind of started from, I'm going to say the front because that's the way we were faced, and then it kind of went along the vessel itself. So now you could see this reddish tint making out this massive craft. We felt like we were underwater. Bang! It was a tapping sound, like when you're in a pool, you hear a tapping sound. We were being affected by whatever this was. Was it communicating with the other two? I don't know. But we sat there for like good 3 or 4 minutes looking at this thing. And to describe what it looked like, the top was thinner, the bottom was thin, and the middle of it was fat and kind of looked like a snake skin or something. And we were just sitting there looking at this thing. That's why I don't understand why people say, "Oh, I was scared, I was frightened." We were like, wow. We couldn't keep our eyes off the friggin' thing. And so with that, we remember all these odd things that had happened to us. But I want to clear up one thing. So we've actually never said some of the things that you see in the news, but we were extracted from the vehicle. We found ourselves in what reminds me of an airplane hangar. And I remember like fluorescent tubes and we were actually taken from the car. That there's no question. And then when we came back or found ourselves back in the car, my mother and grandmother were reversed. My mother was now in the passenger seat. My grandmother was in the driver's seat, and she didn't drive. The ignition was off in the car. So people go, oh, you were abducted by aliens. I don't think extraterrestrials know how to turn the key off in the lights in a Bel Air station wagon. There was military in the area. There was a lot going on with the Goodwill message. NASA was working with MIT and General Electric, which was right down the road from us. There was military everywhere in the area. And so when the Unsolved Mysteries episode comes out, they call it the Berkshire's UFO, which has no source of anything. You know, our case is what that show was based off of. And people don't realize that the Roswell Research Library, attorneys, and the state of Massachusetts all worked together to see if this was a true event. And I mean, I've had Key Point Government Solutions to my house. There's their card. I've had the FBI at my house. I've taken polygraph tests. I've got the documents from the originals from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, inducting us into history, the Historical Society. You know, my father was also a politician. He ran the Democratic ticket at the time. So, yeah, that's what, you know, whatever. You know, and letters from Senator Christopher Dodd. We've made the newspapers. I mean, yeah, there you go. So what I guess I'm trying to say is there isn't any question that we're alone. I mean, I know firsthand what, you know, it is what it is. I mean, and one of the reasons I still talk about this is our case did go to the United Nations in 1992, went in support of General Assembly 33426. And my father, who was an attorney, lost his life on the same day. So out of respect for my father is why my brother and I decided to do something with this. And it just kind of, you know, got its own legs, if you will.
It's like a utterly remarkable story. And I don't like, yeah, I'm blown away by the amount of documentation that you have, and not here to do anything other than to try and find the truth, right? Like about all of this. And so what I suppose what you just said is fascinating and almost like beyond belief. Right. What do you think was actually happening?
You know, I sometimes think that excuse me, I sometimes think that there was a craft in the area. It was a holiday. There was a fairgrounds down the road where they had Ferris wheels and music playing too in September. So if you were to test something or try to operate something that you hadn't, this would be the day to do it, because there are a lot of distractions. You know, if they saw something in the sky, they might say, oh, there was a holiday. Maybe we were at the wrong place at the wrong time, and we just happened to run into something that was being experimented on at the time. Then again, who knows? There's crop circles in the Berkshires. 2012, 2013, they made the newspapers. BLT Research found them. There were cattle mutilations. The corn grows 15 to 17 feet high where this incident took place with our family. You had yes, you found it. There you go. Unbelievable. And so there's a lot of activity. So it's kind of like the Berkshire's version of Skinwalker. And our diner was walking distance to that crop circle. I mean, I could walk there. And I'll tell you something else. In Canaan, wow, you find a lot of this stuff. In Canaan, Connecticut, which was like 3 miles down the road, that's where the magnesium was mined for the atom bomb, which went to Oak Ridge. So we had the diner there, which became the hub for conversation with those working on the space race. We were like, we know you're going to go to the moon. You know, we should leave a calling card. My mother discussed that with many that actually work at Sprague. And one of the grandchildren of Sprague who were working on the Goodwill message is still on my Facebook to this day. So that idea of the Goodwill message was largely fueled by conversations in my mother's diner.
Do you believe that these are being operated within the confines and with the coordination of the United States military?
I think what we saw was, yeah. It was nuts and bolts. It wasn't spiritual. It was it was powerful, man. When you see something move like this or not move the way it was, it's absolutely captivating. I mean, I remember staring at this thing and not so much as blinking. I mean, it has that kind of a profound effect on you. It's amazing to see something like that. And you're trying to make sense of it, right? Your right side of your head's trying to say, okay, there's got to be a reason for it. And you're like, there's no way this could happen. And then you talk about it, and then you're ostracized, right? The town turns on you. People don't come to your restaurant anymore. They think you're nuts. And then they see it themselves later, and they're like, oh, we're sorry, but the damage is already done. I mean, that's what our life was like. But we've been talking about this since I was in 4th grade.
And you witnessed it with 3 other people?
Yeah, well, 3 others, 4 of us together, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so do you say that this was a craft that, while it seemed space-aged, you believe that it was of man-made origin?
Oh, no. There's no way. This was definitely off-world.
Okay.
And it was a privilege to see it, quite honestly.
Okay.
It was.
I mean, of course, yeah. It's like,
whoa.
You know?
Yeah, and you know what? It kind of...
It's unfortunate that nobody ever has a 4K camera in these circumstances, right? Because it's, you know...
Well, it made the newspapers.
Oh, of course.
It went out on the radio.
But it's kind of like the drones in New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
So this is like the drones in New Jersey, or the aerial phenomena that are captured by our military planes.
Yeah.
Everything is always in the dark of night. It's always in night vision. It's always just out of sight, right? Just, you know, you could see the drones in New Jersey. That stuff was crazy, man. But it was like, you know, it was just really hard to capture. In a world of 4K. You know?
I have the pictures of these spheres hovering over the cornfield in broad daylight. I have them.
Not sure if we perhaps have that. Perhaps it's on your website. I'm not certain.
I'll send it to you. Yeah. Okay. But
yeah,
to be honest with you, that craft that was seen, right? More so, you know, that has appeared a couple of times, but it's mostly these spheres, like these. They're like the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, and there's something going on inside of it, just like they mentioned at the UAP hearings. I mean, I've been talking about that for 50 years, right? So, but that's pretty much what's seen on a regular basis in the area, are these round spheres. And there's something inside of it. Some say it looks like an ocean wave tumbling. Some say there's something revolving. But I remember, I'll tell you something else. I don't tell too many people because it's, I'm finally writing a book, you know, just to kind of preserve what really happened. One of these spheres was coming at a bunch of us. We were with school children. This was in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. And there was a spot where we used to sled as kids. It was a big park and a hill. And this round sphere was coming at us. And it looked like the sun, you know what I mean? Like that orangey, gold, bright type of, those colors were coming at us. And it took like a 90-degree turn at like, I don't know, 80 miles an hour, right around there. So it was moving pretty good. And then took a 90-degree turn, remained the same distance over the hill. When it got to the bottom of the hill, it rose back up, went over a bunch of homes, and pretty much looked like it landed behind these houses in the woods. There must have been, I don't know, close to 100 students, because we were all walking home from school, that went looking for this thing. And the pictures that you showed, that crop circle image, if that's what it is, you know, I'm assuming it probably is, those students still talk about it to this day. And so if you combine, yes, right. I don't know what that is. But again, this isn't something that's, you know, a question on the minds of those who live in the area. So many have seen this in one way or another, or witnessed something. And that's why it's so important to me to get the truth out, because it also validates those I grew up with. It validates the families that were also ostracized, right? So for me, it's about getting the truth out there, kind of like you.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to fight the big wow stories, you know, Bigfoot having, you know, cooking up marshmallows with girls from Hooters and stuff. This is more scientifically based, and there's proof to this.
So,
and I've got something to say, and I want to say it, you know.
We have some of the images and iconography that sort of matches what, you know, what you've been talking about. I mean, I guess I'll just, like, anecdotally, I live in Tampa, bro, and I'm friends with all these fighter pilots and all these guys that fly out of MacDill. This is where CENTCOM is, and it's like that's sort of like the controlling universe of information for our military, right? Is CENTCOM. And so I live down the street from that, and my neighbors, like, they fly some of the most important and best tech and some of the most top secret tech like around, and it's really a remarkable place to live. And so
I used to live there, by the way.
Oh, really?
I lived in St. Pete Beach. I lived in Treasure Island.
It's lovely. It's lovely. Anyway, the point is that it's like totally anecdotal, and but I know these guys aren't liars because they're these big time commanders, and they've been promoted, and they're patriots, and they love their country, and they're good, and they're family men, and they do their taxes, and they mow their lawn, and like there's nothing crazy about these guys at all. And to a man, Tom, every one of them tells me that they see UFOs. Every single one of them.
Sure.
They say it's like the most normal thing to see. There are some certain areas that they see them more, but they say that they often do resemble like discs or like shapes that can be manipulated.
What you just showed is what we see a lot.
That's right.
In the area.
And these guys, like, bro, so like if you're thinking that you're gonna be called crazy on my show, that ain't gonna happen around here.
I mean, because I've been thrown under the bus since I was 10 years old.
Bro, I mean, so you're gonna have nothing but love around here. I'm telling you, I'm sitting there at the barbecue. I'm sitting there at the cookout in my neighborhood, and these fighter pilots who, by the way, have like flown the most dangerous missions on behalf of our United States of America, love this country, total patriots, genius level IQs, these guys. None of them are kooky. None of them are crazy. Straight up telling me that there probably are UFO bases under the water in the ocean because they see them coming in and out of the ocean. Like they tell me that with a straight face. They don't drink. These guys don't even drink, man. They're like sober. And they tell me that kind of stuff.
That's how I am. I mean, it's so obvious to me and everybody else around the area. It's like those who don't believe are the ones that are crazy to me. I mean, how can you think for a moment that we've had 5 global extinctions, right? And yet we have 9 million species thriving here.
Sorry.
Think about how that happened. I think Earth is our galaxy's arc, right? I mean, if every animal had one female, one male, everything would have been inbred and died off anyway. So Earth was stocked. That's the way I feel about it. Why I feel that way, I don't know. But that's something I feel really strongly about.
Perhaps we could do another show where we like talk about this for the next 3 hours. Unfortunately, this morning stream is constrained a little bit. But I did want to ask you, because I not only will I not point a finger and laugh, I believe you. I mean, put that up. Put the flying saucer up, please. Like the military view, and we've seen this, so many different times from our U.S. military. I not only believe you, I have firsthand whistleblower evidence of this. With like a gaggle of some of the most premier fighter pilots in the world, actually, like cooking steaks at my home, and they tell me this kind of stuff, and they're not there to lie to me, dude. And they're very sophisticated. These are very sophisticated, very smart guys flying planes that are the best on Earth, and they say this stuff comes right up to their windows. Sometimes it's red, sometimes it's blue. It does change colors. Funny how you talk about like the color change.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's remarkable. I'm like getting chills listening to you because what you're describing is similar to what these
and we've been talking
pilots...
about it. We've been talking about it our whole life.
Yeah.
And it's only now that we're really starting to get some traction.
So just a final question for you, and then maybe we can book something to do something a little more long form.
Sounds good.
Final question to you: What is your message to Trump? You and your family have obviously done a lot of work on this subject. What is your message to the president who says he's going to declassify these things? And then perhaps just a little, your gut instinct as to what this is, what is this exactly?
Well, I think that, I think we are extraterrestrial. I think that obviously, we're coming from somewhere. We don't just all of a sudden have 160 IQs and suddenly we're on Earth with everything else that has like 40 or 50 IQ. As far as, Trump goes, I say, you do what you can to release it. I'm sure there's going to be restraints and things that he's going to have to have issues with or hurdles. But if even a slight, confirmation, I think would make a lot of people feel more comfortable. I can't begin to tell you how much, how hard this was for my family. It was very difficult to be the one family talking about something other people couldn't get their heads around for so long, and the fights on the school bus, the pushing, the shoving, it's hard for people. But we're at a time now. I think we need to, let's do it. Release it what you can. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just even some of the stuff out of the, I'm calling this for my producers because I want to talk about it, but like the video that Anna Luna released from the UFO hearings where the UFO is hit by a Hellfire missile, it splits into multiple pieces.
Do you believe that? It's crazy, right?
And then it reforms. That is an unbelievable video.
Yeah,
and
have you heard that?
I know our producers have it. We don't have it loaded up just yet, but something.
Have you heard some saying it hit a balloon? Have you heard that?
Sure. I mean, yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, you've got a $150,000 missile going 1,000 miles an hour. If that thing's bouncing off a balloon, I'd get my money back. There it is.
Yeah, there it is. So that's a Hellfire missile being fired by the MQ-9 drone, hits this thing, and it just ricochets right off. Now, AOX, I like this, but I need to see the whole thing. This is like I need to see the whole thing because it breaks into pieces. You can see it shatters into pieces and then it reforms. And maybe here later in the video it shows this. Whatever this is, like I don't know anything. So you can see small pieces break off, like almost it is like a liquid form, and then it reforms, reconstitutes. What the hell is that, man?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's a fascinating video for a lot of reasons, and the fact that it was actually struck. And this missile going 1,000 miles an hour, 970 miles an hour, whatever it was, just bounces off the thing, but never explodes.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, right? Yeah. That's wild. Okay, guys,
some people are saying, well, that's because it was a balloon. Something going 900 miles an hour going through a balloon doesn't get deflected.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Klein's got it. Okay, well, thank you, Tom. I hope that you come back and we can chat about this. I have a feeling there's going to be... I feel like we're going to do quite a few shows on this. So
I would love to.
Thank you, Tom. Godspeed, and thank you for just speaking the truth. Man.
Respectfully. Thanks, my friend.
Yeah. All right. All right. This is Tom's social media. You can follow him here.
There you go.
Godspeed, man.
Thank you.
Will there be a government blackout on the UFOs? Will there be like black boxes like in the Epstein files? I don't know. But I know there is one blackout coffee that I do drink every single morning. There is a blackout that I approve of. I don't approve of the blacking out of the Epstein files names. I do not approve of the blacking out of the UFO files. I do approve of blackout coffee. It fills my cup. It is a patriotic and delicious coffee made right here in the great state of Florida, made by patriots who love this country, who are veterans, who create American jobs, and who want to keep you caffeinated and awake so that you can fight the communists. And that is what we do on this program. We also seek and search for the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, Blackout Coffee is perfect for work, travel, or keeping at your desk in a go bag. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Benny and use Benny for 20% off your first order. Blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Support American jobs. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody who perhaps would know a little bit about this, since he's been the voice of President Trump, the press secretary for the president, and also a military man himself, is Sean Spicer, who joins the show live now. I didn't know we'd be doing the UFO show, but since we're here, why not, Sean? Like, why not? You ever seen a UFO in your military service?
No.
No.
You have not.
You ever met anybody who had any stories like this?
No. I mean, drones, yes, because when you're out, I was assigned to the 7th Fleet for a while. And so when you're out there, they use a lot of drones to come and annoy and try to get intel on our ships. But that's about as close as you'll get.
Okay. Yeah. What do you make of this video? What do you make of the video of like the, so this was something presumably shot by the Navy. Are you still, by the way, are you still in the Navy? Are you?
I am.
You are? Okay. Okay. So what, like, how do you explain it, right? This like object, this was during the UFO hearings in Congress. How do you explain it? Like the object that gets hit by a Reaper drone, MQ-9 Reaper drone, Hellfire missile. I mean, this is like really good tech. This should presumably take the thing out, right? It would take out any man-made thing should be taken out by this, but instead it just bounces off.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's definitely a lot of questions, and that's why they held that hearing.
Yeah.
There's a couple things. One, there's a lot
that's crazy.
And there's a
and
lot
you can see the pieces break off and then it goes back together. What the hell is that, Sean?
Well, see, this is the fascinating thing, that there is a lot of technology that gets tested at a very classified level. So the question obviously remains: is this something that we're doing, someone else is doing, or is it, to your point, is it extraterrestrial? And it's interesting. I mean, I actually think the point that you made at the end of that last thing is the key thing, which is I saw President Trump's truth last night. It's, to me, we're going to start having a bunch of jokes about the intersection between the Epstein files and UAPs, and are there going to be any UAPs in the Epstein files and vice versa? I mean, I know it's a little sensitive of a subject, but I feel like there's soon enough we're going to be overlapping the two issues.
Alien versus Predator. They already made the movie. Yeah, there
you go. Good point. But I think that what fascinates me is that if we actually, I say this with respect to President Trump, because I've seen the deep state hide stuff at a much less consequential level, right? Yeah. So the idea, if we can't release the Epstein files, do you really think we're going to release this stuff? I mean, you want to talk about powerful people protecting themselves and the elites. I bet you the aliens are calling Pam Bondi right now being like, don't run out with a bunch of binders and files. And, I mean, I could just see some of what's going on at DOJ right now. So I just, call me skeptical, but I don't have a lot of hopes that we're actually going to see anything more than a bunch of videos that call further into question what's going on.
Okay. It's funny that you mentioned that, because we actually have a meme for exactly what you just mentioned. There, you pop that up. This so mean. It's really, this is like a really, really, this is a mean one. Here you go, Sean. Okay. Exactly as you said. Exactly as you said. Here. Oh, look, here's the binders.
Oh my God. No, but perfect. The best part is you have to get our buddy Rogan O'Hanley or Liz Wheeler to open them up and see a bunch of redactions.
That's right. A bunch of black boxes in the sky. That's right. Yeah. Oh man. Too bad. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I guess I couldn't agree with you more. However, and it's totally anecdotal, but I believe my neighbors. I live in Tampa for a reason. I like being in a city that has a lot of patriots in it. It has a lot of people who love America, a lot of people who serve this country. It makes for a very clean and orderly city. I like that. And these guys are my friends, and they're like these fighter pilots. And every single one of these guys that I meet has a UFO story, has like a UAP story, something, you know. And I don't know, bro. I'm not saying that they're all from space. Okay, I don't actually believe that, to be quite honest with you. If you want to go there, I don't actually believe they're all from space. I don't. But they are there. You know.
Look. Can I take this in a very interesting, different direction?
Please.
What people are missing in this whole and this is just where my brain goes, because I tend to break things down logically and what got us here, right? So Obama's on this podcast, and he gets asked, "Is there alien?" Right? That was the question. Okay, so break this down. What is his response? Yes. Period. Now, if you're asking me, do you guys have it? Let's play this. I want you. I don't know if your team can do the sound right away, but I want you to listen to this, because this is what's getting missed in the dialogue. It's not that he's just pontificating, right? Listen to how he says his answer, okay? Because it says yes, then period, and then he pivots to Area 51, as if he's like, but if you're talking about the location. We weren't talking about the location. We're asking fundamentally, are there aliens? So can we play that?
Of course.
A couple questions here. Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. Okay. There's no underground facility.
So you see that they're real, but he didn't say, "Look, I can't discuss that," or "I haven't seen anything." He says, "Yes, but I haven't seen them." As if, okay, well, I haven't seen a pile of gold, but I know it's real, right? So it's yes, it's real, but that was telling because it wasn't like, look, anyone who's dealt with classified information, and I've been around this now 30 years, you don't get into stuff like that. You obfuscate. You say, look, I can't discuss whether that's real or not, or obviously, I'd access. I mean, this isn't the first rodeo that he's had with dealing something at that level. And again, sometimes people just overlook the obvious, which is he didn't obfuscate. He answered that in the affirmative. Yes, but they're not at Area 51. Okay. I didn't even ask that. Why are you bringing that up? He literally said the quiet part out loud. And then Trump in his response, and again, I brought this up on my show, The Huddle, this morning, and people kind of mocked it. But remember what Trump said, and this was so beautiful on Air Force One. He said, I can't believe he said that. That's classified. Obama just said something that he wasn't supposed to say. And he put himself in a very, very bad situation. And Trump said, so I'll have to declassify it. Trump, again, Obama set himself up for this. And I'm just saying that it's really funny because I know everyone in DC wants to dismiss it. But go back to what he actually said. Yes, but. And I think that was the big tell.
So was this planned?
No.
Do you think that this is a strategy? Do you think that this was like, because we were just learning about Kathy. We were just learning about Kathy Rumler. We were learning about Epstein running ops and comms for the Obama White House. We were learning that Epstein was running comms against a prostitution ring that the Obama White House had been ensnared with. Things were getting a little hot in the kitchen for Larry Summers, Kathy Rumler, Podesta's with these Epstein files. And I do wonder if this was a intentional head fake.
Look, I think they wanted a head fake, to be. I mean, after what you just said, I would be looking for anything, right? So, do I think that strategically they were looking? But the way that whole thing came together, it seemed like a throwaway question. The guy was like, "Let me get to a couple things," and I think he didn't expect Obama to answer the question that way. Maybe there was a plan to sort of move the narrative. I don't think that was part of it. I mean, again, I don't think one is separate than the other. Could there have been a plan to obfuscate and to try to change the narrative? Sure. But I don't think it was based on that question. I think basically they were even shocked that Obama answered that question that way. And you saw, and again, what's missing in all of this? Go back into the analysis. Obama answers that question. And then immediately a day later, he realizes, oh my God, I should not have said that, and starts dialing it back. If you were serious about this, right, you would have he clearly realizes it's got intention statistically in the universe. The odds. What is he not doing there? Addressing the answers. This is he realized, oh crap, I said something I wasn't supposed to. And so I'm just telling you, I find this whole thing fascinating because at some point, why or not, he wasn't expecting this question. The guy starts off and says, all right, I got a series of random questions. And I'm sure he thought it was going to be a funny moment. And then Obama said the quiet part out loud, and he was like, "Oh boy, I didn't think you were actually going to answer that question."
Yeah, Brian Tyler Cohen.
It's all right, Benny, let's get to know Benny Johnson. Benny, first question: have you ever killed anybody? And you go, "Yeah, I murdered 56," and you go, "Whoa, okay, that's not what I expected."
But then Brian Tyler Cohen, and I debate this guy on Piers Morgan and Cuomo show all the time. It's then he's just like, okay, moving on.
Because I think it was. Again, I don't think they were
ready for prime time. If you get an answer like that, you have to bite like a bulldog, right? With a bone, you gotta say, and you gotta say, well, okay, what do you mean they're real? Have you seen them exactly?
But that's why I think that he had a series of funny questions to get to, and then was like, what do I do with this? I don't even know. Because if it was a setup, you would have said, okay, well, where? I mean, look. You and I, right off the bat, right? Someone says, yeah, there's extraterrestrial life. And you go, okay, well, where is it? What does that look like? Do they have 2 arms and 2 legs? Do they talk? Are they a threat to us? I mean, I'd go down for 50 hours in a row of I got to know more about this. And they just move on as if they were ordering Girl Scout cookies.
Oh, man. Okay. So, Sean, you have a very long and storied history in Washington, D.C. doing comms and running comms. So what is your over-under? You say that we're not going to get anything out of these release. You say that this is going to be more protected than the Epstein files.
Oh yeah, I mean, I actually think if you want to talk about obfuscation, I think that I guarantee you that they're like, you want to talk about UFOs instead of these? Like, they're going to go back and forth now to be like, okay, we'll uncover the alien files and see if Jeffrey Epstein was in those. I look, this is serious stuff. If there really is extraterrestrial life that poses a threat to us, do you really want to tell? The only thing that worries me, that kind of intrigues me about this whole thing, Benny, is, let's say that you're outside, you're some alien from another planet. Why is there no other place on Earth that's having this conversation? Like, why wouldn't you go somewhere with like good wine? Like, I'd be like, well, I'm going to France and having some of that really good like wine. Or I'm going, I mean, like, just in the US, like, why? Why is it just here? I mean,
you're not wrong. There are maps that show that all of the alien sightings are always in America. Like,
right. I mean, I get it. I'd come
always,
here too.
You know, yeah.
I mean, and, you know, I would come here. I bet you there's going to be soon. There's going to be a little chart that shows that, like, the bears moving out of. You brought this up on my show tonight. You're on tonight. I'm sure you'll talk like the bears moving out of Chicago, Boeing moving out of Virginia. Even the aliens are going to leave Democratic states soon.
Do we have it? Oh, there you go. Okay, perfect. Thank you. This is exactly the map that I was thinking about. Exactly the map. Wow, amazing. So the aliens only visit the United States. These are the reported UFO sightings over the last 40 years, approximately.
I got
over the last 100 years.
Yeah. Do you think that Trump should be like, look, under Joe Biden, look at this map. Only the aliens came to the United States. He let them all in. We need to get the aliens out. No H-1B visas. Like, I think Trump should take on the aliens next. He got the border closed. And now Trump should be like, under Joe Biden, we had open, full, like, worldwide borders, and all the aliens came in.
My take is that there have always been disquieted spirits. There has always been alien creatures on our planet. Sometimes you can find bones of dinosaurs, or you could go to the bottom of the ocean, and every single time they send a sub down there, they find something that looks like straight out of a sci-fi fantasy novel. Some new creature. They discover a new creature every single day, and we've been discovering creatures for hundreds, if not thousands of years on this planet, scientifically and orderly fashion. And so, obviously, these exist. What they are, I don't think they're from another planet. I do, as a Christian, I do know that God is the only creator of life, that this stuff doesn't happen outside of God's control. So I don't want to put shackles or limitations on God. He did, of course, create galaxies and the entire solar system. So this is sort of like, you know, the author of life and death. You don't want to put God in a box, right? And so far be it from me to tell God where he can and cannot create life. And the mysteries of the earth, like, have not even been remotely unraveled. So far be it for us to assume that we, know one thing or not. Again, we're making this AI. We have Wi-Fi on our planes now. We're planning on going to Mars, and we still don't know what the hell's at the bottom of the ocean. Okay, we still can't figure that out. And the mystery of actual conception in life is still a mystery to all of science. Nobody is quite sure how humans are born at an anatomical, at an atomic level, right? Like how that actually happens. And so like, of course, these could be. I think looking through it from a spiritual lens, from like a God and a creation lens, and from the disquieted spirits that you read about in the Old Testament and in the New Testament, I think people could do a little extra research on that, and it could explain quite a few things. Maybe they're demons. I'm not sure. That's what I had a dinner with Tucker, and the entire dinner, all he did was talk about how they're demons. And he's like completely convinced of that, and now he stopped looking into UFOs. He says because it scares him too. It scares the shit out of him. That's what he says. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that isn't the best explanation, quite frankly.
Maybe it is. Look, you to your point, like the creator gets to decide what and where and how. And so there's, who are we to judge? Maybe he had, and who knows, maybe this is all just a big thing and that we release all the files and we realize that AOC is the real alien.
You know what? I don't know if I'm sure they live among us. Listen, we don't talk about, it's amazing. Like you read through the Gospels and it is every single chapter and verse of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. There is a demon that Christ encounters. And we don't think about the world that way anymore. We don't think about the world that demons can actually take over a body, a human body, and could be cast into other bodies, like, for instance, pigs at one point in the Gospels. I'm a simple Christian, so I simply read the Bible and I believe all of it, right? And so I believe 100% these stories of Christ not only encountering demons, talking with them, and them being entities that can move through time and space in a way that doesn't make any sense to us from a physical property standpoint, and can take over certain bodies or certain elements. I mean, again, when Christ is encountering Satan, Satan's effectively teleporting through the air with Christ, to the top of mountains, to the top of palaces,
burning bush.
Saying I'm the king of the earth. I can give you all these kingdoms of the earth. He shows Christ all the kingdoms of the earth. Well, they must have been really high up, and they were teleporting, to do that. And so, who am I other than like someone who's been given the scriptures? I read them, and I read this, and I say, well, that kind of that behavior, or like that spiritual element behavior, very nicely mirrors some of these aerial phenomena that we see, and perhaps that's what it is. So it makes a lot of sense to me.
Good. Well, there you go. Then you just answered it. That's
if anyone wanted to know what my thoughts are on this, that's what my thoughts are. That's what I think.
We've now got it done. It's over.
I don't know.
You don't even need to release the files. Just solved it.
Bro, I went to community college. So like where was I raised? I was raised in the cornfields too. And so it's like, I'm a simple Christian. I read this stuff and I think that makes better sense to me, but I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what's in this. It's a wild time. It's a wild time. Trump did run on disclosing a lot of UFO stuff. He ran on, a transparency administration. So I guess we'll see.
We'll see. Well, look, by the way, just for your viewers, if you can't get enough of Benny, I want to preview the State of the Union with you tonight on the Sean Spicer Show. So we're going to I need to get your take on affordability and all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to that conversation tonight at 6.
Here is the show X handle. And here's Sean Spicer's handle. Sean Spicer with over 500,000 subscribers here on X. Obviously, a man who has kind of seen it all when it comes to how DC operates. So very interesting conversation. Thank you, Sean.
You bet, Benny. Have a great weekend. I'll see you tonight at 6.
Godspeed, man. I didn't mean to monologue there, effectively. I don't like doing that. I like asking our guests questions, but it kind of like builds up and builds up and builds up, and finally you're just like, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. And you think about these things, and you think about these things, and maybe the reason the map looks like that, Klein, maybe the reason the map looks like that is because this is a Christian nation, and this is like sort of the beating heart of Christendom. And you can see also, like, where Europe is, perhaps this is like where an enormous amount of spiritual activity takes place, because we live inside of kingdoms and principalities that are constantly under spiritual warfare and always have been forever. And so perhaps that's why, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's why. I'm not pretending to know everything. I'm going to tell you that, like, what we'll do is, as this develops, and let's say they actually start releasing stuff, that we have a slate of experts. Trump posted that Truth Social late last night. So we have a slate of experts that we plan on having on the show, talking through this issue. What would happen if ALX got one of those binders? ALX, well, how would you have handled this one? How would you handle this? That we're just going to take it seriously. That's all. We're just not going to laugh in people's faces or take it seriously. We're going to deal with it, and deal with it honestly. But you guys have heard my honest opinion on this, and frankly, the most fascinating UFO conversation I've ever had was with Tucker, who regularly and constantly had on UFO experts and scientists and so on, and people, disclosures and experiences on his show, and he's spoken with just everyone about it. And this was his take: that what's old is new again. What's new is old again. And that, like, in the ancient times, like, there were, in the ancient times, that perhaps, like, we should look to the past instead of to the future to sort of explain these things. Nobody knows how the hell the pyramids were made. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's under the pyramids. Nobody has any clue. We don't know anything. We don't know anything. We got Wi-Fi. We got AI. Shut up. We don't know anything, right? Go down to the bottom of the ocean and look around, and you'll see things that are a lot crazier than the AI-generated aliens, okay? Go down to the bottom of the ocean. Every time they send a little submarine down there, they find some new creature that God put there thousands of years ago, billions of years ago, who knows? But yeah, they'll just pop that up. Pop this up. Whatever the screen is, just put it up. Start from the top and scroll down. Start from the top. Look at that. What the hell is that right in the middle with the eyes? What the hell is that thing? Really? Is that alien? Well, it lives on the same planet as you do. What if they reveal that that was what an alien looked like? What if they're like, oh, this is what we got one of these at the Pentagon? Well, you do have one of these. It's in the ocean right now. What the hell is that? Right. So it's utterly terrifying. Are these things, God created these things. Are these like more horrifying than aliens, than anything that could be in a little ship? Scroll down. Just give it a little scroll. Let's give it a little, just give it a little scroll. Now, here are some of the things that live on your planet with you that are totally alive. You can go capture one of them. Not sure that a lot of these things can't live if you bring it like sort of out of the water. It lives in such high pressure under the ocean. It's like designed to that, so they'd end up dying when you bring them up, you know, to above the actual water or to the water line, to the surface level. It's hard for them to survive, but like, yeah, but like, okay, do we live with aliens? You ever seen Under the Sea? Like, of course we live with aliens. Yes, of course aliens are real. They look like that, and God made them. And if this is what this kind of stuff looks like, what does stuff look like in hell? You know, I mean, geez. So yeah, it's probably crazy. It's very creepy, and the U.S. government probably knows a lot more about it than they're letting on. There's no doubt. I mean, maybe the real question is, does the U.S. government actually engage with these spiritual entities for power? You know, again, like wouldn't that stand to reason? That perhaps, like, given all like what we've learned about in the Epstein files, maybe this is the question. Maybe this is the question we're not ready for yet, which is like, you know, nuclear, you know, space travel, nuclear power. Like, where the science behind this stuff? Like, where does it come from exactly? Like, has there been engagement with spiritual? Has there been engagement and seance or rituals or whatever with spiritual entities in order to gain power and knowledge? That has taken place on top levels of our U.S. government. I think, as a matter of fact, this has happened. Documented fact, this has happened with the CIA. And as a matter of documented fact, it happened with the Nazis. There were constant spiritual and occult rituals, like ancient spiritual and occult, like vampire rituals that were going on with the Nazis. Himmler was a massive fan of this, and this is like extremely well documented. And he had like a vampire's like Transylvania castle that he like would do these occult rituals in, and he's celebrated to this day by the occult for like mainstreaming it. And he was doing it for power, so they did win the war. So his government would have a lot of power and have special powers. I don't know. Is that what the flying saucers are? Are special powers the information that we've been given? It's Trump who says that we have weapons that nobody can even understand. Trump straight up said it in the White House. We have weapons that nobody can even understand. Maybe it's just Trump being Trump, but it kind of seems like he's like saying, yeah, I mean, you know, this stuff's real. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen. You'll get an unvarnished take from me on this, and this is what it is. American financing can ensure that if you want to get back down to earth here, that the things that can truly plague you or scare you, scarier than the stuff under the sea, could be high-interest credit card rates. These are the kind of things that can truly collapse your golden era, can harm you, and, well, tell you what. If the tariffs are illegal, then these should be illegal as well. It's like, should be illegal to charge 20 and 30% for credit card interest. Nonetheless, President Trump says he wants to cap it at like 10%. Should be maybe at 5% as far as I'm concerned. American financing can get your interest and debt rates down into the low fives. Their salary-based mortgage consultants don't just push loans. They build exit strategies from debt and help you out. Their customers save big time every single month. That's why you should call America's home for home loans is American Financing. 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219. AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. All right. Let's go ahead and check in let's go ahead and check in with the chat, please. Let's do in the chat so that we can see what do you guys think? What do you guys think aliens are? What do you guys think they are? Let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to need to get better with producers, like with a producer, like in the chat needs to be Ashley, and you need to be like putting up chats. Because sometimes the chat goes so fast, I can't actually like catch everything. So here we go. What do you think? Demons, says Lisa Marie. What do you think aliens are? What do you think the aliens are? Betty, from now on, whenever you use the word occult, says N3 Rolota, please differentiate between the light side and the dark side because there are two sides to all mechanisms. You're exactly right. I feel like I'm on the right and light side. Like I worship Christ. I worship Jesus. They worship the devil. We both believe in spiritual entities. We both believe in spiritual power. I worship the all-powerful Almighty God. But they worship Satan, who was the most powerful of the angels, right? The most powerful, darkest of the angels that God cast down out of his own pride. But the scriptures say that he's very powerful. And Christ also was brought by Satan to the highest mountain on earth. Teleported, you could say, in a flying saucer? Who knows? Who knows? How'd they get there? Well, they teleported. Did they do it in a drone? I don't know. But, Christ himself, of course, ascends into the heavens, in the ascension. Like, how do you explain that phenomena? Doesn't this kind of sort of seem to have like the mechanisms of spirituality to it? Anyway, to your point, and thank you for this kind note, but it's true. You're right. And N3 Roluta. That I mean, and Dixie Bell says demons. There is the light side of the occult. What's the point of the occult? The point of the occult is power. I want to take this, throw off this mortal husk and these mortal chains, and I want power. I want special to unlock spiritual power. I'm the Nazis. I want to win World War II through spiritual power. Himmler was obsessed with occult rituals, with human sacrifice. This is, again, extremely well documented. He had a whole castle for it. And he's not the only one, right? And so that power is real. Like evil is real. Evil is real. If living through the last couple of years hasn't proven one thing to you, it is that evil is real. And for there to be such evil, there must be a counterweight to it, right? Newtonian physics, thermodynamics. That's right. Okay, here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm just going to roll through here. Thank you. We have starred chats. Thank you very much. Demons don't need technology. You're right. So what are they? Again, if you wouldn't mind popping that up with the thing that got hit by the missile. What the hell is that? What is that exactly? Is this a demon? Do they hit a demon with a missile here in this video? You just had it on screen, bro. But hey, team, producers, I'm going to need this, okay? So it's best that we just get this clip, okay? So the clip that you sent in, ALX, it doesn't show the reformation of whatever the hell was hit with the Hellfire missile. Klein, you had it up. It's the hearing from Anna Paulina Luna, dude. Yeah. So it's what, chat, what is this? What the hell is this? Okay, so you can see the object. The object's the center of the screen. The object is in the crosshairs. The Hellfire missile is fired from an MQ-9 Reaper drone, one of the most sophisticated missiles. The missile actually hits the object. The object moves very, very fast. The missile hits the object. The missile doesn't explode. The object breaks into... Pause it. Gotta make it big. Okay, so the missile hits the object. It breaks into... There's our missile. That's our missile. This is our tech. This is our plane following this. It hits... The object breaks into multiple pieces as though it was organic, as though it was some type of organism, right? That splits off. So it breaks off, and then all of the pieces, they don't blow up, they don't fall into the ocean, they continue to fly with the, let's just call it the mother object, and they reform. Look. Look at that. They all like kind of regroup together. Then we lose it in frame. What the hell is that? Come on. Demons don't need, is it a demon? You know? Is it a spiritual entity? Demons don't need technology. That's right. Aliens and demons can exist. It's true. Whether they're aliens or fallen angels, they're God's creation. But we are the only thing that are made in God's image. That's exactly right. Thank you, They Love Charlie. A Nephilim. Go ahead and grok. What is the Nephilim, please? Nephilim. Nephilim. Go ahead and grok that. Let's go ahead and show everyone what is that exactly. Because the Bible does talk about the Bible talks about giant sea monsters. The Bible talks about these these mammoth sea monsters. Demonic spirits, fallen angels, and watchers. Yeah, aliens aren't real. They are satanic entities, Benny. I think you're right. I don't believe in aliens before angels, demons, or ghosts. I'd believe in aliens before angels, demons, or ghosts. Okay. Aliens are illegals. Okay. Fallen angels. The Nephilim appears to be and thank you, Tinfoil Ghost, appears to be a variant spelling. You spelled it, dude. So spell it right, and then let's do another grok. Yep. Here we go. They are mentioned in Revelation. Angels and demons. That's right. A lot of demons, demonic entities mentioned in Revelation. Fallen angels. No. Aliens. They are supernatural. They are demons. I love seeing that. I love this chat. The chat's so awesome. Fallen angels, or demons. The Bible says that they are demons. And I just want to say thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, David. I want to shout out the actual handles. Thank you, Jolin, and Jolene, and Drake, 8271. Okay. So, the Nephilim, I'm probably not saying that right, were on the earth in those days. And this is from Genesis 6:4. And also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans, had children by them. They were the heroes of old men of renown. This passage places them in the pre-flood era, linking them to the unions between the sons of God and human women. They are also referenced in Numbers. The Israelite spies described the inhabitants of Canaan as Nephilim-like giants, causing fear. We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants, gotta scroll up, bro, of Achan and Nephilim, they were seated like grasshoppers in our own eyes. We looked the same to them. They seemed like grasshoppers. Okay, weird, strange. The term derives from the Hebrew root to fall, translated by fallen ones, may imply those who cause others to fall. Okay, and then scroll up, please. All the way to the top. They are figures mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, traditionally being great size, strength, and renown. So, would you believe in the Bible? 1000% demon activity. Aliens are Democrats. Okay. And again here. I don't know, man. I got to tell you, I think that this is the explanation. I think this is the explanation. I think the spiritual explanation is the correct one. I will always think that. And if you read your Bible, the more you realize that is just, of course, the source of wisdom in life, and you should just steer as narrowly as you can to the descriptions there, and life will make a lot more sense. So the Nephilim. Am I saying that right? I don't even know. So fallen angels and human women that created a giant species. Is that what a Goliath is? Goliath had 6 fingers. What is that exactly? How does he have 6 fingers? 6 fingers. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. That's what it is. That's what it is. They're the giant species. So I'm not sure. This show was a bit of a face scorcher for me. This show was a bit of a little, quite a few hot takes. And I guess it's good to get our thinking correct on this, because, well, will the release of this stuff just effectively point to government's proof that there is a God, right? Like, is that really what this scared our government so much? That there is a God? Does this all of this just effectively points to a creator and the mysteries of the earth that we can't fathom? And so is that what scares the powers of earth the most? Is that what scares the power of man the most? Yes. Yes, it is. Is that why it's so secret? Yes. Yes, it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Just to let's see. Project Bluebeam incoming. That's right. Guardians of the Galaxy. Demons are fallen angels that showed Satan. Like Satan said, I am like God. Undocumented aliens. Demons are aliens. It could be a whole lot of waste of space if we're alone in the universe. I tend to think that. God is the author of life. God creates life. We shouldn't put God in a box. I suppose I don't see anything, please tell me if I'm wrong here. I'm no scholar. I'm just a simple Christian. But I see nothing in the Bible that says that God only made life one place and refused and has put giant barriers on life being anywhere else. I see nowhere that excludes that. I just see that God is the creator of life, that God created life. Doesn't say that he necessarily created it only here, or that what we see in the sky couldn't just be easily explained as spiritual entities, as we see them all over the Bible, sort of behaving like UFOs, right? Being alien in nature. So maybe that's it. Bond Charge, ladies and gentlemen, is a partner of the program. It is a holistic wellness brand with a huge range of evidence-based products that optimize your life. Noticing some wrinkles, noticing a little bit of exhaustion at the end of the day. I want to go to bed and stay asleep. I want a little bit of, I don't know, you can describe it as euphoria. You can describe it as just like relaxing and chilling out. You could also describe it as the red light that you so desperately miss in the wintertime, in these winter months, or if you're inside a little black box studio all day like I am. Anyway, either way, Bond Charge's red light face mask is there for you 10 to 20 minutes a day. You can use it, cooking a meal or putting your kids to bed. It boosts collagen and elastin, super lightweight, and it's really good for your skin. It doesn't really get hot, sleek, and it has a 1-year warranty. Go to bondcharge.com/Benny and use the code Benny to save 15%. That's BONCHARGE.com/Benny. Use the coupon code Benny to save 15% on Charge. Okay. The Palm Beach Airport has been renamed the Donald J. Trump International Airport. Okay, so there's your little Trump news at the end of the show, and we'll jump on over to our verse of the day here. From 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is all that you need, for my power is greatest when you are weak. Yes, God is almighty and all-powerful, and God has and does create creatures and mysteries far beyond our comprehension. What God asks of us is that we trust in him, that we have faith in the knowledge and truth of the scriptures, and most importantly, that we're thankful. I mean, listen, that we're thankful for the fresh air that we get to breathe, the beautiful nature and existence that we get to have, that we're thankful for every single day, sunrises, sunsets, our children, our families, the food we get to eat, and that we sort of live inside of that. It's not up to us to try and understand the complexities of the universe. In fact, the smartest people that ever lived finally break their brains on the complexities of the universe and mathematically come to the conclusion that there is a God. And that is everyone from Galileo to Einstein has all come to that, to Max Planck, to all of them have all come to that conclusion. Like the men who have the brains that can unlock the power of the universe, they all come to the same conclusion. That is too galactic, it's too orderly, it's too mathematically possible and impossible at the same time, and that God exists. Well, if God exists, then evil exists. And I think that explains our extraterrestrials and our UFOs, right? But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, fun little show. Great free-for-all Friday. Have a great weekend in this, the greatest country on earth. It's your boy, Benny. See ya.
Like I've always said, these aliens can come here, but they need to do it legally. Ooh, what are you shooting at? That's not how you get a green card. You can't hit nothing. Damn, these criminal aliens are heavy. Whoa, low bridge. Suck on my parachute, Greenback. Hope you got an airbag. Welcome to Earth. You need to get in line like all of the others. We have what is called a process.
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings. And their dying legacy, media deal weeds. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for number one. Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for number one. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.